Amadeus Ventures, and Pablo is CMO and Chief Innovation Officer at Roommate. So maybe I'll start once you guys are set up. First of all, thanks for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Let's start with some questions. In the first part, I want to address a little bit more the strategic perspective of corporate venture capital. So maybe Suzanna, you can tell us a little bit more of what are the key drivers that, as Amadeus Venture, you look when deciding to invest into a startup.
Yep, absolutely. First of all, good morning. My pleasure to be here with you today. I've been running Amadeus Ventures for the last 10 years. So Ventures is a startup investment program for Amadeus. What we're looking for are technology startups mainly, worldwide. And we'll go into what are our value proposition and the rest of it. First of all, selection criteria. We are very clear that as a corporate investment vehicle, we are 100% strategic. So we won't make an investment unless we're sure that we can add value in those startups. And when we look at the startups, so when the proposals come in, I would say we always wear two hats. The first hat is very similar to a financial VC. So we assess them on criteria like, do they have a strong team? Early stage companies, teams is the most important thing, people, as we talked about this morning. Is there a viable business model? Are they solving real problems in the industry? The methodology on that is very, very similar to a financial VC at the end. Is there a big enough addressable market? But then we also need to wear the second hat, which is the strategic alignment with the mothership. Do we share the same vision, in terms of market growth and potentials? Do we share similar visions around prioritization of use cases to test, customer adoption, and also be able to find alignment on how can we combine our capabilities, and be able to take these great new value propositions to our customers in a faster pace. So it's that combination of both the strategic and the financial angles.
And to go into the vision bit, what are the most frequent reasons for not participating into an investment, right? Where is the vision gap?
Yeah. Similarly, the two criteria. So the first one is if we have hesitations on the team, if we have hesitations on the business plan, so that will be one category of reasons. The second category of reasons, which is actually even more often than the first one, is the alignment, right? The finding the compatibility on the capabilities. Being 100% strategic, we would go into an investment always with the business unit support. So that's, I would say, oftentimes it's one of the reasons why we turn down investment forces.
And I like to link you with what you said that it's also part of our DNA. We really want to look for the leaders that we can also support. So the five of us, we will be picking companies where we can actually contribute. There must be that alignment that Suzanna was referring to, because otherwise it becomes very difficult to make an impact. Obviously, you can still benefit from a financial return, but chances to maximize that return diminish if you cannot support those companies, right? If there's no alignment in that sense. And Pablo, maybe with you we can talk a little bit more the strategic objective of partnering up or investing into startups with Roommate Group, and what benefits have you experienced so far? Can you give some examples?
First, thank you for making the table in English, because my Spanish is also not that good. Okay. No, that's good.
I think this is
it's good. What Roommate, since the beginning, we like to feel more like a startup forever. I mean, that's the philosophy of the company. We talk about the philosophy, the culture of the company. That was part of the culture of the company. The president right now, Kike, is all the time pushing to try to do new things. So part of the culture of the company was to be disruptive. So for us, it was we were more comfortable with the startup, but that maybe the companies that are settled already in the market. Why? Because, you have, with other companies, you have to adapt what they already develop. But if you work with people that is developing something, it's more easy to work together as a partner. And in the other side, as we said, sometimes, for big, we usually used to say that roommate is not the place maybe to make money, but is the place maybe to know the market and to grow in the tourists, because we are not that big actually. Okay, but when you talk me about examples, and you may know some of the companies, we work, for example, with Smartbell, that at that point in 2018 was a company that provided us with experience for the client, and we use it for the loyalty program and for the website. So at that point, that's something that was almost new. We work with a company that you may know also, that now is Beyond X, that was Beyond Price at that point, and we start working with them as a rate shopper, and we start to develop like the beginning of the RMS or something like that. But going a little bit forward, and somebody from Booking may know that company, like 12 years ago, we started working with Price Match.
Of course, yeah.
As a starting RMS, the first one with Benjamin, that you may know was a crack. And when we're going almost to start working for roommate, Booking bought the company, so so nothing to do. And right now we are using or we are basing all our online strategy with Adquiver. Adquiver is not that, maybe it's not a big startup, but it's something new in the tourist segment that is all about data and online strategy based on data and analyzing everything. So, all the time we are trying to find new opportunities. And regarding investing, as I told you, we sometimes we feel like a startup. In 2017, we create all like a data model inside Roommate with 4 AI cases in 2017, that it was like next best action, cancellation, sum of revenue. And we really feel like a startup, because at that point, developing something like that, we find out with the big problems that right now may have all the startup, a lot of cost in technology, integrations, clear of data. So we always move in that kind of world.
I like your startup approach. It makes me think that maybe if we had not bought Price Match's Booking, maybe today would be a more successful company.
No,
clearly, it was a successful exit for the founders. As I said, I was adding up a Booking Suite in the last few years. That program has been terminated by Booking. So why I'm saying this, because even big companies like Booking can decide to tap into corporate venture capital, investing in new startup, but it's not easy at all. And I remember Arthur was in my team of Price Match, and I think as Booking we made the mistake of wanting to make that product as standardized as possible.
Yeah.
It was a very complex revenue management solution, which had challenges from an integration standpoint. They had, I think, 1,000 properties working with them when we bought them, and clearly we wanted to scale it immediately to the 1 million hotels that we had at the time. But we made it wrong. We probably overly simplified the solution, and we also commercially we decided to offer it for free. And when you offer a product for free, then you don't get engagement, because everybody install it but they don't use it. So clearly a lot of mistakes. And now it brings me to the next question to Suzanna. Amadeus Venture is still there 10 years later, stronger than ever, so probably less mistakes than what we did in Booking Suite. What can you elaborate a little bit more in the type of support that you offer to startups, and how you make sure that you don't destroy, right, their essence?
Yeah, on the value. So in terms of value delivery, notice that we are very clear that we are a corporate. Right, so we should be delivering something different from the financial VCs, right? So from that perspective, so I would say that we also made mistakes. I guess it's about learning fast, like the startups themselves. So other than the money, what we offer, notice in your introduction speech, like there's one thing that's very important. Of course, Amadeus is that we are a network company. We are an ecosystem company. It's the customer reach that we are also offering to our portfolio companies. It is the industry knowledge that we are channeling to the company in different ways, and I'll go into a little bit more details. Technology. So So overall, to say those are the 4 value propositions that we have, like for our startups, right? To say in terms of industry knowledge, for example, in some of the portfolio companies, we do have observer seats, right? So, and for the observer seats, we tend to not to put people in my team or myself into those positions. It would be people in the business unit on the line. No, so they have been in the industry for like an extended period of time. So they have customer relationships, like they have run sales and marketing or just different positions of products, etc. And so from that point of view, to say they work like a sounding board for the founding team. So to be able to bounce off ideas in terms of like both how to set up a company, how to grow, and also how to like approach the markets and get connections done. So to say that's one thing that we offer, closer integration into our technology. So to say that is also an advantage to some of the portfolio companies. I would say in general, to say we offer technology to all travel companies, but of course, is that being close to us is it has a little bit of advantage on getting some harder to get integrations done. Last but not least is communications. To say, when we have that perfect alignment, no, to say we can say sometimes to bring the portfolio companies into our own customer events, so which is like global, with like C-level executives from the industry attending. No? So those are like very, very valuable opportunities for the portfolio companies to be able to network and get to know people that are very relevant for them. So, in a nutshell,
yeah. Thank you, Pablo. You were talking before about all the tests, I would say, that you're doing, adopting startups. Like, can you maybe give some example of the benefits, right? One of the benefits I was mentioning in my opening is the potentially operational efficiency or enhanced guest experience, right? But some internal KPIs that you try to improve, like what?
I mean, for example, we have to, since the beginning, Roommate has the focus on the client. I mean, we always say that you have to be in the feet of the client, and then we move that to people. It's not about guest experience, it's about people experience. And another thing that we said was free Wi-Fi. Okay, so that was, besides the breakfast until noon, those were like the values of the company. So, I feel so old when I talk about a startup like a Review Pro, but I mean, 16 years ago, we began with a company called Review Pro, and we were almost the first hotelier company in Spain to use it. And that was key for us to understand the feeling and the reviews of all the clients, and that drive all the operations for the company, drive through the comments of the client. And when you were talking before about how important it is to explain all the strategy to the company. I remember that the second year that we implement Review Pro, we went through all the hotels, explaining to all the employees of the hotels. That means from the director to the one in the breakfast, to explain them that we can make the biggest agreement with distribution, but if the client don't feel that the breakfast is the right one, it will drop. So the main KPI for that is about involve everybody in that and how impact that review will have on the ADR, of course. And another one was something more about the brand. We said free Wi-Fi. We met like 10 years ago somebody called Javier, I don't know if you know him, but and he came to the office and said, Pablo, I have a device and we can bring free Wi-Fi through all the city. And we say, I don't know if it took us maybe half an hour to take the decision. And say, that's right. So we were the first hotel chain in the world to offer free Wi-Fi in the city, not only in the hotel, with a device that you can take in your pocket and connect 5. So sometimes, as I say, Review Pro bring us a lot of KPI from knowledge of the client, but also turn into ADR. But free Wi-Fi in the city was an investment, not an expense, but something that the client feel that these people is giving me the company, the promise of the company they're giving me, not only in the hotel, but also in the city. So sometimes you have return in the brand, and sometimes you have return in money.
Yeah, clear. I think ultimately this comes down to me to willingness to have a pulse, the finger on the pulse. So try to be as close as possible to the markets. Don't be afraid of try out new things, and always look forward about the new opportunities, not the new big thing.
Yeah.
So
what happened is sometimes, I mean, and that's when you talk about the different companies you've been working. I mean, when you work in a company that is more focused on client, and you're focused on, I mean, you have more chances to do new things. But when you are a company that are inside a big company that only look for an Excel and for the money, it takes a little bit more of effort to convince them to do something that only work for the brand and not for the ROI.
Well, I guess this ultimately comes down to the culture aspect that we explained before, right? If there's a culture of being customer centric and try out new things, it definitely also brings you closer to new opportunities, new trends, which brings me to my next question, Suzanna. What emerging trends? I mean, we talked about AI, and Tony will explain a little bit more in that respect. But like, what emerging trends do you see in travel these days, right?
Absolutely.
And give us to the extent you can, give us a heads up on what you guys are keeping your eye on.
Yeah. And I'm about to say the next big thing is going to be generative AI, but I think we have got that covered for today. So. So the one thing that we're also working on very actively is sustainability. Okay. So just I think we understand also that there is a community, there's a movement in terms of like how can we bring the concept of sustainability into travel, both from the perspective to being transparent. So being able to provide the level of information to the travelers who are seeking this type of information, providing alternatives or actions that they would like to take, as a way to letting them participate into it, and also just looking at our own portfolio, right? To say, are there ways that we can help the providers to be able to optimize their operations, or use data differently to be able to help in making, say, such decisions, right? So overall, to say sustainability, I would say, is definitely a big trend. So far, we've made 2 investments in this space. One of them is called Choose, based in Norway. So what they do is a climate tech solutions for the travel industry. So just starting by carbon offsetting. So they're working very closely with Booking, but also with a lot of big airlines in terms of helping them not only on the user interface, not just the inflow booking, adding that carbon offsetting element onto it, but also just in the back end, more looking at the broader perspective on the mandatory and the voluntary offset, bigger scope actions. So that's one. The other one is an investment that we made last year. It's in a company called Caffeinia, in Germany. What they do is they're a research company in sustainable aviation fuel. So that's the most non-software company that we can invest in, that we can find. The point is the objective of it is really for us to get closer to the entire movement, the necessity of being able to scale up the supply of sustainable aviation fuel, and be able to introduce that as a process into the industry. From the point of view of airlines being able to manage it, in the way of looking at action, not linking it back to corporations, if they want to be able to participate and if they want to be able to purchase sustainable aviation fuel. That's how would they be able to do that as well. So yeah, those are the 2.
Yes, so to a certain extent, right? You're taking some risks, like Pablo was saying, with startups. You're going a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Aviation, sustainable aviation fuel is a perfect example. There's no technology there. What type of support, in addition to involving airlines, do you think you can provide, or what was the reason, behind that investment?
Yeah, it's always a combination of. The money that we're putting into the company, it's the fact that there is an established technology company in the travel industry supporting them. So far, the majority of the investors are from the oil and gas industry, right? So that linkage supports them to continue to move on this track. For a sustainable aviation fuel startups, one of the key commercial activities for them is to be able to work with airlines to sign advance purchase agreements. So at the moment, there are a lot of those activities going on. So that is one way that that we established that it's a mutually beneficial relationship. From an Amadeus perspective, we will never be an oil and gas company. Yeah. We are very clear about that. So there's a part of it is participation in an industry effort. So we understand that this is fundamental. In the whole transformation or transition into travel, being sustainable, the sustainability effort of travel. And of course, during this process, it is also a way for us to get close and understand what kind of role Amadeus can potentially make.
And how do you measure success in that respect? Does it change compared to different technology companies?
Yeah, very good question. Our KPIs, is of course there's one part of it that is financial. Since we do investments, we need to measure our financial returns. But a lot of it is about the number of conversations, the number of POCs, the number of cases that we can do together with the startup community. It's both on the portfolio side and non-portfolio companies as well. So in this case, I'd say very specifically, if we are able to use the intelligence that we get through this exercise to be able to integrate that into some of our incubations and maybe even existing solutions, moving them forward into next generations, those would be great.
So now you make me wonder. I live in Amsterdam, and there's definitely one of your properties there. I wonder whether you're going to green car, green. But yeah, tell us a little bit more about the next path you're taking, and what trends do you see, or are you looking to further improve the guest experience and the operations of your chain?
I think that right now something is like desestacionalización. It's personalization of the client is something that everybody's been talking for the last 20 years, but all of us have the big problem about data. Do you have the right data to do personalization? Do you have the right technology to implement with the people to do the personalization? And right now everybody's is like revenue. You have to give the right experience to the right person at the right moment. But I think that right now we are trying to use generative AI to do it backwards. Instead of picking up the data from the client, is now with the generative AI, we are talking with a company called Otro that is able to be like your front office in the city. So that means that you can ask, and it will give you the right response about what you need, and at the same time you are keeping all that data. So you're going backwards. You don't need to have the data to personalize the experience. The client only have to ask, and then you will bring all that data and can keep it. So I think that everything that goes around personalization for the client is the next step, at least for us. But it have to work, in the way that it is seamless for the client and it's easy. So at that point, I think that this is our main focus right now.
Yeah. And anything around personalization, Suzanna, within Amadeus, among the investments you've done, something that you want to comment on this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. On the topic of AI, with Gen AI or not, overall, we look at what we can do. A lot of it is about enhancing our existing solutions with AI capabilities, or producing, or the possibility of new solutions as well, and in this case, personalization is definitely one of the top use cases that we are looking at. So just once again, we're seeing new ideas and concepts coming through, with free text, being more being experimented a little bit more widely, with generative AI. So the idea, we've seen ideas coming from the startup community, the ability to be able to extract more attributes, more background information, more context, from free text, and be able to start using those elements to personalize. Either it is from a pricing point of view or from an experience point of view as well. So yes, that definitely with better technology, hopefully we are making better steps towards a more personalized journey as well.
Thanks, Susanna. And Pablo, before we with Suzanna, we were talking about sustainability, right? Anything around sustainability within Roommate, and any specific project, any particular startups that you're partnering up with?
Yeah, well, right now, I mean, we start with a concept called Ecolution in 2018 or 2017, something like that. Before COVID, I lost the numbers, so, okay. So, and that was about to try to bring sustainability to Roommate. And we start working with, actually we are doing a lot of things about measure energy and try to reduce and do things, but at that point, at the beginning of everything, we start working with EcoAlf, that it was a company that made the uniform for all the employees, and they use all recycle from nets from fishermen, so that was cool. And also something that you may know already, a lot of you can see in supermarkets and many hotels, that it was a water called Awara. You know, Awara was like the first water that it was made from recycled bottles, and also they use the money you spend on that water to build, you know, to bring water to some places where it was really difficult. So at that point, we start working with those two brands like something new, and now we are really focused on going a little bit more farther on energy and energy consuming and doing things with the clients.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move now a little bit more to an inspirational beat. So tell us, maybe Suzanna, some success stories among the Amadeus Venture, and particularly how did you contribute, right? And how, in a sense, that can be inspirational for all of us, that we can replicate that
Absolutely.
in the next investments.
It's joining quite a few of the elements that we have already mentioned. No? So, say one of our successful cases, say both financially, not to say, and on the collaboration front, and more importantly, a U.S. startup called Volantio. So they work in the airline space. So what they do is proactively contacting travelers. So on a flight that is almost full. And they use algorithms, AIs, to be able to identify who are the most likely flexible travelers, giving them an offer in advance, not at the airport, in advance, and encourage them to move to flights that are less full. Okay, so it is a more proactive management on overbooking and experience. So together with them, so we made an investment in year 2019, and then we actually made a follow-on afterwards as well. From the onset, we already have pretty solid partnership go-to-market agreement. So which means that we are taking Volantio to our customers. And we have partnership managers, sales teams proactively, in regular reviews, talking about Volantio's their value propositions and how they can help the airlines. That is the tight integration into the Amadeus passenger support system for airlines. So that is our platform that we sell to airlines. So it is pre-integrated onto our platform, which means that for them to implement a new customer, it shortens the time to market into production. So it's a very strong value proposition for them to be able to do their selling. Access to communications, custom events, the observer, who's in the beginning, we have a very, very strong industry expert, well known in the field of revenue management, on their board as the board observer. And so the feedback that we got back from the CEO, is a tremendous value that he got from someone that senior and well recognized, giving him advices both on product development, organizing the team in sales and marketing, how to positioning sales pitches, etc., to the which part of the airlines, so and so forth. So extremely strong support from there. So overall, they won the contract with Air Canada that is announced earlier this year. That contributes to $500,000 of ARR. And the company by itself, it's step by step is growing nicely and steadily. So they may be looking at raising a Series C next year as well. Series B next year. So the essence of the story and the nicest part of the story is actually just during COVID. So when we all went into COVID, nobody was flying. We were all sitting there just thinking about what can we do for the industry, right? And together with Volantio, we managed to put together a solution, a proposition to the airlines within kind of a very short period of time, in a matter of weeks. No, and we are able to go to the market together to say combining a solution that Volantio has, which is about capturing latent demand in the market, and a price search solutions that Amadeus have. So by combining those, we were trying to help the airline industry, to say, let's see how we can together detect the earliest signal of demand coming back, earliest signal of a travel recovery, during a very difficult time of the industry. So I'll say that's a solid example.
Thank you. And I was thinking probably with all the data you have, it's something you could have developed internally or try to, let's say, develop organically, and instead you went for an acquisition or let's say an investment. What determines in-housing the technological development versus going to the market through either your own fund or partnering up with a startup?
Absolutely. I think for Amadeus is that we are promoting more of this concept of an ecosystem approach. We know that there are things that we do very well, which sits in the core of like a lot of the providers and players in the ecosystem. But through working with partners is that we can go to our customers with even more value proposition in a faster pace. This is a concrete example. This is a complementary solutions. The example of Caffeinia is a sustainable aviation fuel company. So there are capabilities or there are parts of the value chain that we are very clear that we will never go into. Right? Those are the clear collaboration opportunities for us to learn and establish a relationship that is close enough for us to not necessarily influence, but be able to get enough insight for us to determine what kind of position do we want to make. So I would say it's about complementary capabilities and time to market.
Yeah, thanks, Suzanna. And Pablo, I mean, obviously you have shared how keen you are in testing out new solution, but for sure you're trying to make sure that doesn't impact your brand, the guest experience. So how do you balance this trade-off between, on the one hand taking the risk and try out new things, but on the other hand making sure that the guest experience and the brand remain consistent?
Yeah. So I think, once again, this is about culture and philosophy of the company, and everybody is ready in the company at least to try new things, They're open to do it, but you have to be sure at least to involve everyone on this. That everybody give their opinion, and of course they adapt that technology as part of the operation of the day-by-day work. So the first thing we manage is that we are sure that the technology is used. It may sound crazy, but sometimes you put a lot of technology in the company and the people keep doing the same thing all the way. So it doesn't make sense. So the first thing is useful. Are you going to use it? Are you agree with this? And then we will come all the KPIs that you may come in ADR, in maybe less time of doing something. But we have to put the focus on two things. Once again, it's not about only guest experience, which is great because you can have a lot of feedback from the guests, but it's also about people experience. It's about, sometimes you have to give technology to the people to be sure that they can do more things, to be sure that the client is happy, because otherwise sometimes you give so much work to the people in the hotel that they have to hide somewhere behind the reception because they don't have time to smile to the client or to give recommendations to the client. So at least you have to be sure that it depends how it works, but you have to be sure that it works for all the departments, for the brand, and from the investors, of course.
And Suzanna, I understand from Pablo, one of the challenges is definitely embracing and making sure everybody from director to the housekeeping uses the technology. I think for Amadeus instead, how do you handle the technology challenge, like integrating your different legacy systems and stacks with the one of new startups? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. There are different levels of challenges, not just of integration. Right? The investment program is a minority stake investment program. So when we're talking about integration, there's always a commercial relationship that is like the basis of the integration. Right? And in this case, first and foremost, is the business alignment. Right? We established. we can take this as an example. EcoCar, a Spanish startup. So some of you may have heard of them because they've been around in the ecosystem for a while. So our mobility team spotted an opportunity to work with them to be able to bring something new into the market. And so on the basis of that collaboration, we have at least 3 commercial agreements with them, not to cover each and every integration, so to speak. Now, is it about providing a transfer solution to our customers? Is it with a white label UI? Is it about connectivity? Is it helping us to bring more connectivity onto the GDS platform? Or is it about the end-to-end digital experience that we want to bring to the rental car industry? So it really depends on the use cases, so one by one. That we'll have them clearly identified, covered by commercial contracts, everything is very well documented. In terms of the technology, right, there are two aspects to it. I'm under the control of my corporate communications over there, colleague over there. So we have this big technology initiatives in terms of moving forward with definitely more open platforms, with modern KPIs, which we already have a lot, but we continue to work on that basis. But with the startups, notice that it's in either cases it's because of some of these more closer relationships, we are able to prioritize some of these technology works that is being done. So Volantio is an example, and this is what we're also doing as well with EcoCar.
Thank you very much, Suzanna. So I want to introduce the last topic in the very last 5 minutes, which is more the timing of the investment. And I want to introduce that with an analogy of dog life. I'm a dog owner, and you probably know that the year of the dog compared to the human year is different. So the very first year of the dog is basically 15 years of human life. The second year of the dog is 9 years. The third is 5, and basically then. For me, it's a great analogy to the life of startups, right? Because the very first year of a startup is the very 15 years for a human. It is the year of life or death. And also the second year is the year of traction, the years of fundraising. So, tell us a little bit more about the different stages and how do you decide to invest maybe a little bit early, like in a seed versus a Series A or even in a Series B, right? And what's the sweet spot according to you?
Yeah, for us, our sweet spot is Series A. So even though in the US, Series A is getting bigger and bigger, but why is it not? It's about the product maturity and go-to-market. Going back to the starting point, we're strategic investors. We want to be able to add value. So we want to be able to show off portfolio companies to our customers. And in this case, so that maturity of the product is very important. Right? A few trial customers, early KPIs. So those are the important evidences that we can tell our customers as well, not on behalf of the portfolio companies, that this new concept seems to be working. So there are evidences, and it's a good moment to try. Right? Yeah. So that is the reason why we focus on Series A. And also coming back to your slide, that's the advantage for corporations. That is also the level where we find most of the new things. Right? So because part of the objectives is also to get in touch into the ecosystem and be able to talk to entrepreneurs when the new ideas come into the market. Right? And so that earlier stage also works for us from that perspective. Yeah,
that's quite a line actually with TT2, where we're trying to target 10 companies with at least 1 million revenue in the next 8 years. So it's also what we think is the sweet spot, where we can leverage the best, the power and the support of the advisory board. I want to revert the question more from a customer standpoint, right? Do you take into account the age of the startup or the stage in which the startup is when deciding to test, embrace a technology, adopting a technology, or it doesn't make a big difference for you?
Not really. I mean, as you know, maybe you will come a startup that has been 20 years in the market and is still called a startup. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. But as I told at the beginning, Roommate is a small company with a big brand. So we are not a company that maybe you can make a lot of money because we only have like 24 hotels.
As a startup.
But we put the focus maybe in how useful is the technology, and we don't care about being early adopters about some technology. Is it really useful, or is something that is gonna bring something for the client or for the team? So about that is we are more than happy to be early adopters, as I told you at the beginning also. It's about being not a client, it's about being a partner and grow with them, and maybe we can do new things. So we don't care that much about that.
Thanks. No problem. I want to leave the very last 2 minutes for any questions from the audience, if there's any, or we go again into AI. Alex, or next, or Tony? Any questions to Suzanna and Pablo? So join me in thanking them for being here today.
Thank you.
Travelthink is a non-profit initiative launched and managed by Dr. Javier Gonzalez-Soria in 2006, focused on new trends, innovation, and startups in the travel tech space. Thousands of professionals receive the Travelthink news, where travel top leaders and entrepreneurs share their insights and reflections.